हरिः ॐ कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकिर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानाथं को न याति परां गतिम् नमामि तं वरदाग्रजन्तं पदाम्बुजं यस्य पवित्रकीर्तेः मनांसि वा शीलयति श्रुतीनां वचांसि वा मत्कुलसम्भवानां नमः सभायै. We are on the 13th day, 13th part of Sri Ramayana lecture. Ramayana as a way of living organized by Hindu Temple of Lubbock. This Ramayana is a living grantha, a living text that talks about the Jivana Charita of Shrestha Manushya, Devata Swarupu, Devata Shrestha Manushya, Sri Ramachandra. So in the Ramayana lecture we are in Balakanta, Pratama Kand mein, we are aptly talking about the life story while talking about the Jivana Charitra of Kathanayaka Sri Ramachandra. We are talking some Upakathas of great people like sage Viswamithra, who was a Kaushika. What are we going to talk today? Adhya Divase, it is the 13th day, Trayodash Divas mein, हम सभी कौशिक जैसा है. We are all Vishwamitra metamorphically. So if you look at it as a metaphor, our life is nothing but that of the life of Kaushika. But Kaushika metamorphosized into Vishwamitra, and our goal should be that while we are all like Kaushika, we should change ourselves to Vishwamitra. यही जीवन कथा का तात्पर्य है, यही रामायण का तात्पर्य. So what is Ramayana? Ramayana to Veda Sar. So what Veda says? Veda is like Raja's order. But then in this Kali Yuga, nobody is willing to take edicts. Nobody is willing to take orders and rulings. So the sages many yuga before have thought about it and have made us to grasp the tatparya, grasp the understanding of Veda by telling stories. Kanta Samhita eva. It is like the story a husband and wife discusses among themselves while they are relaxed. That is what Ramayana. Ramayana to Shastra hai. It is Shastra with bhakti, mellifluous flow of bhakti. It's like lava, it's like lavana, it's like salt that dissolves in water. It infuses these great shastras with bhakti bhava, eulogizing a hero whom we should all model after. And that is told in a mind-melting, bone-melting phrases. So Ramayana kya? Ramayana to bhakti kavya, kavi prasam aur bhakti kavi Prasankita, written by a bhakti kavi in a prasam way, in a prosodic way, which first and foremost sabda, it has sabda, that each and every sabda has ghuda vyangyartha, it has some artha, but that is set in some flow with swara, laya, dhvani, spandana, vinyasam. So my forefathers used to say, what is Ramayana? Ramayana to Shastra evam bhakti grantha, usme kya hai? Sabdha, artha, swara, laya, dhvani, spandana, vinyasam, mellifluous flow, vinyasam, arrangement of such words. So that's what Ramayana. And it is very apt today. We are going to discuss about the life history of Viswamithra. Sage Valmiki labors in 15 chapters, 15 sargas. And more importantly, we have come to a point which is basically crossroads, where Viswamithra wants to become a Brahma Rishi, but he encounters several incidents which deters him from reaching the goal post. So this is what Viswamithra is all about. So this is This is what Viswamithra. Where does Viswamithra stand as of today? Ramayana is a story whose Kathanayak Rama rides a chariot which has 4 wheels. The wheels are all about dharma, dhrida, shila. उसका चक्र और पताका तो धर्मशील है. Whereas what Viswamithra and we, Kaushika and we are doing today, we also ride 4 wheels automobile. But the 4 wheels are Kama, Krodha, wants, anger, me and I, Ahankara, Mamakara. Ahankara and Mamakara are the front wheels, and Kama or Krodha are the back wheels. So Viswamithra's story starts by focusing on the front wheels is Kama, is Ahankara and Mamakara. So the story of Tirushanku talks about how Viswamithra is so full of himself and his wants. Then subsequent stories on Menaka and Rambha, which Valmiki talks about, is all about Kama Krodha. Once a person captures this Ahankara, Mamakara, he gets a control of front wheels, then he will get the control of back wheels, then Kama Krodha come into control, and then he becomes a refined person. So in 9 sargas today, we'll see how Viswamithra as a charioteer is able to control the 4 wheels of the chariot and brings to some state, some balance. Ahankara, Mamakara, Krada, Kama, Krodha. How kaise wo bandhan karta hai, wahi Tirushanku, Menaka, Rambha, Shunashyepa ka story mein hai. So where are we? What is Viswamithra's life today? Viswamithra says, Apsarasaha swagatam testu vasache iha mama ashrame. This is a beautiful thing Valmiki says, hidden, gem hidden in Valmiki Ramayana. Apsarasaha swagatam testu vasache mama ashrame anugrihishvam Badram te madanena sumohitam. This is what we are. This is exactly in the middle of the story. Towards the end of Balakanta, Valmiki portrays Viswamithra. Even though he was called as Rajarishi, he was called as a Rishi, he was a great king, he got tempted by Kama, Krodha, Ahankara. When Kama comes, if the Kama is not fulfilled, Krodha comes. So Krodha comes when you are not able to control your Ahankara and Mamakara. So he sees Menaka. Apsara swagatam. He just rejoices. By that time, Kaushika is already anointed as Rajarishi. He says, Apsara swagatam testu tetu you vasa mama asrame. You reside in my asramam. Anugrihishva, please accept my invitation. Hey Menaka, stay calm. Anugrihishva badram te madanena sumohitam. Is this what we have to live? This is what Valmiki says. Valmiki labors 15 sargas, not in vain. Why did he say every manush, every man is with this? He gets tempted till we go to grave. We get tempted, keep on tempted. So he says, but what we should do, particularly in the month of Purushottama, Swagatam Krishna, Saranagatam Krishna. Viswamithra should have said this. He didn't say. He says, Swagatam Apsarasi. You come, you make me happy. 10 years he lived with Menaka. But what we should do, Swagatam Krishna, Sharanagatam Krishna. So we should invite Krishna to our home. Madhura Puri Sadana, Mruduvadana, Madhusudana, Iha Swagatam Krishna. Madhura Puri Sadana, Mruduvadana, Madhusudana, Swagatam Krishna. In this 9th sarga, this is sung by a very Tamil poet in Mohana Raga, but in Sanskrit. Whereas Viswamithra says, Ye Apsara Swagat. So, but in 9 sargas, you see how Valmiki takes this story. Because this Ramayana is a life story. So, it talks about reality in life. It has influenced many poets. The Oriental scriptures have influenced many poets, particularly Americans, British, will tend to look at those today. So what happens is, Ram lived as a human being. He made life real. Well, Viswamithra said if he didn't like somebody, with his anger he would make them to go into ashes. Bhasma bhavo. Whereas Rama never did this. Rama could easily do, but he took the pain. So Ram kya ban gaya? Ram ek manushya maryad purush ban gaya. He became a misal. He became a role model for dharma, because this story was so attracted, became such a part of the poetic life of a great American poet. Many people would have read literature. He was a 19th century poet of New England, Henry Longfellow. I don't know how many people know. He imbibes Ramayana. And the beauty is, he specifically wrote a poem on Tirushanku and Viswamithra episode. We'll recite that beautiful story. Life is real. Life is earnest. And the grave is not its goal. Uttishta jagrata varan prapya nibhoda. Kathopanishad कहता है. इस शब्द को स्वामी विवेकानंद ने प्रसिद्ध किया. Same thing. Life is real. Ram life को real माना. Life is earnest. You have to earn your living. And the grave is not its goal. If that's the goal, Ram would have become depressed. He didn't know where his wife was. He didn't have any support from other Raja. And the grave is not its goal. Beautiful poem by Longfellow. Dust thou art, to dust returnest, was not spoken of the soul. Not enjoyment, and exactly what Ramayana is. Not enjoyment. Today Ram was in relish, because tomorrow he is going to be Yuvaraja. The next morning Dasaratha calls him, you are not going to be Yuvaraja. Valkal dharo aur kanan chalo. Not enjoyment and not sorrow, it is our destined end or way, but to act. Uttishta jagrata. How much one can say how the Oriental texts, Henry Longfellow was revered such as the fireside poet. If you had read some American literature, you would know Longfellow was so revered in the 19th century that grandma and grandpa, Nana, Nani used to read Henry Longfellow's poems such as the Psalm of Life. I recommend people to read them. But to act, thinking that there is always tomorrow. That's what Ram did. Ram ko Naiman, he didn't know where Sita was, but he kept on moving. Gacha, gacha, go, go. Find us farther than today, but to act that each tomorrow. So this is what Ramayana. It is because of this, to give motivation to people, Longfellow takes the story of Tirushanku. Imagine, there were no Google, there were no textbooks available. It was 19th century, somewhere in the 1850s or so, Longfellow lived in New England. How did he know about the story of Tirushanku? He captured the story of Tirushanku in 3 paragraphs. We'll recite that. So that's what it is. So what happened? Where is Viswamithra? Viswamithra still has ahankara, mamakara, but he was feeling kind of deprived of his power. Dhikbalam kshatriya balam brahmatejo balam balam yekena brahmadandena sarvasastrani hatani me dhikbalam kshatriya balam brahmatejo balam balam. How mind melting this poem. That's what I said. What is Valmiki Ramayana? Valmiki Ramayana Bhakti Kavya Sabdha Swara Laya Artha Dhvani Spandana. It is Spandana. Each one competes with itself. Whether you talk about the words, the arrangement of words, the ups and downs of the spara, the dhvani, then more importantly the artha. So what happens? It's a kavyam. Look at this sloka. Dhikbalam kshatriya balam brahmatejo balam balam yekena brahmadandena sarvastrani hatani me. So he was perplexed. What happens? Swara, dhvani, artha, sabda, spandana vinyasam. Ei Ramayana. So then he says, okay, I'm going to get that Brahma Jnana. I'm going to become like Vasishta. So that aspiration in him, this Longfellow catches will come in. I'm keeping it as a suspense so that in the interlude we'll talk about it. So then he says, what should I do? Then he says, the only solution I have is I'm going to go do tapas. So he rushes without thinking anything. There again, art of living. So Louis Pasteur used to say, chances only will favor people with pre-planned mind. You should prepare for everything. You should not rush. Louis Pasteur, French guy, says, chances or opportunities will only favor if you have a pre-planned mind. Viswamithra did not plan. All he did was he ran to the southern direction. So you got to plan. That's what Valmiki says. Why he ran to southern direction? If you go to southern direction, that is to Yamaka Griha. Things will not be fulfilled. There are a lot of barriers. So he didn't think. All he wanted is, by hit or crook, I need to become like Vasishtha. So he runs to southern direction and starts doing tapas. Tataha santrapta hridayaha smaran nigraha atmanaha vinisvasya kritavairo maha. So he kept on thinking, that guy, I hate him. He became my enemy. Then he started panting. Valmiki uses 2 times. Viniswas, that anger in him, he was boiling in anger. Viniswasya niswasam. So big breath. Viniswasya kritavairo mahatmana. He made Vasishtha enemy. And that anger pushed him to a place where he should not go. He went to the southern direction. Sadakshinam disham gatva mahishya saharagava. Without thinking, he rushed to the southern direction because the anger blindfolded him. Tatapa paramam ghoram Viswamitro mahatapaha palamula shanodhantais chachara sumahattapaha. Then he started doing penance. So, how many years Viswamithra did penance? This is a trivia. In all, this 9 sarga, the life history of Viswamithra, it's not 100 years, it's not 200 years. It's more than 5,000 years. How do you know that? Valmiki says that. Beautiful. So he goes to southern direction, does 1,000 years of penance. He lost it. We'll see it. Then he says, this direction is no good. Then he goes to western direction. Look, what all one should not do, he does. He goes to west direction, does 1 more 1,000 years of penance, 2,000 years. Then he goes to north, so he is getting some buddhi. So he goes to the north and does 1,000 years of, nobody would have read it. If you read it, each one, Bhalakanta, 77 sargas. Luckily, this is our 13th hour. And 2 more hours will finish. That will be 15, 16 hours of Balakanta. Sampurna, art of living. We have seen so many gems and pearls. So, then 1,000 years he goes to the north. How many years? 3,000 years. Then finally, he gets relieved of Kama and Krodha and goes towards eastern direction and does 1,000 years of penance. Still he didn't get he wants. Then he does 1 more 1,000 years. So, southern direction 1,000 years, western direction 1,000 years, then northern direction 1,000 years, eastern direction he does 2,000 years. So over 5,000 years. Let's not nitpick here. Wow, how can he do 5,000? What does it say? If you have to reach your goal, you have to keep on moving, keep on moving, keep on moving, no matter how many barriers are. This is what the entire Tatparya, the gist of this the Viswamithra life history is, there will be always barriers. Even for Viswamithra. If there are so many barriers for Viswamithra, who are we? So he did 5,000 years of penance and he transformed from being a Kshatriya with full of ahankara, mamakara, kama, krodha. Then he becomes Raja Rishi. Then he becomes Maharishi. Then he becomes Brahma Rishi. So this is what Valmiki labels 15 sargas. And then he gives 2 upakathas. One katha of Tirushanku, another katha of Shunashepa. Because otherwise people will not come, particularly in Kali Yuga. You won't come and listen. Tirushanku attracts people. And many few would have heard about Shunashepa. That will attract people. But what is this? This is life. Life is reality. Don't worry about going to grave. Everybody will go to grave. But live life, but always keep moving. Gacho, gacha, 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 gacha. That is what Upanishad says. This Kathopanishad ka vakya, this 15 sarg mein Valmiki ne usko upabrahmana kiya. So he goes, and what he does, he only takes phala. See, that also he refines himself. When he starts doing penance, he takes fruits. And then he takes moola, that means roots, like sugar beet and all those things. But then when he comes to the 5,000 years, he gives up everything. So when you are able to control your mind, the peckishness he gives away, then you are able to see the Brahma in yourself. So what is nothing? Brahmanatvam is nothing but realization, self-realization, how you should be, how you should live. So that 5,000 year story, Valmiki gives in 15 sarga. Purne varsha sahasreshu. How did we calculate? By these small words hidden like gems. Purne varsha sahasreshe sahasretu brahma loka pitamaha abravine maduram vakyam Viswamitram tapodanam. After 1000 years, in which direction? Dakshina Bhagame. First success, small success. Jita Raja Rishi Lokaste Tapasa Kaushika. Until then he was only Kaushika. Then Brahma says, I am pleased with your 1000 years of penance, but he has not given up his Kama Krodha. That is the reason. If he had penanced for 1000 years and he got acquainted with the title, Hey Raja Rishi, then why did Valmiki bring the story of Tirushanku? What is the story behind Tirushanku? I will make you the king equal to Indra. I. And who can do it? If Vasishtha can do it, I can do it. That I and me comes. So even though he became a Raja Rishi, that I and me brought him down. So 2 sarga he talks about this Tirushanku. So anena tapasatvam hi Raja Rishi iti vidmahe eva muktva mahateja jagama sahadaivataihi. So Brahma came, you did, so karmanyeva adhikaraste. You did something for which there should be reward. So after 1000 years, Kaushika, Kushikatmaja becomes Raja Rishi Kaushika. He is not Viswamithra yet. Viswamithra can be only Viswamithra when he becomes Brahma Rishi. He has to see the Gayatri to become Viswamithra. To that he should be a Brahma Rishi like Vasishtha. So like first transition of, watch this story. First transition is Kaushika, Kushikatmaja. After 1000 years he becomes Raja Rishi. Okay. Then he got so elated. Then came a guy called Tirushanku. This story comes. So he, okay, but still I am not becoming Brahma Rishi, so I think I should do some more penance. While he was thinking, that samay, tat kaal mein, एक राजा आता है, उसका नाम तो त्रिशंकु. कौन है त्रिशंकु? त्रिशंकु is the 12th generation of Surya dynasty. Surya dynasty starts with Vishnu. Vishnu, Brahma, Marichi, Kashyapa, Vivasvane, Vivasvane, Manu, Vaivasvata Manu, Ichwaku, Kukshi, Vikukshi, Banaha, Anaranya, Trishanku. Vishnu का पुत्र ब्रह्मा, ब्रह्मा का पुत्र मरीचि, मरीचि का पुत्र कश्यप, कश्यप का पुत्र विवस्वान, विवस्वान का पुत्र वैवस्वत मनु, वैवस्वत मनु का पुत्र इक्ष्वाकु, इक्ष्वाकु का पुत्र कुक्षी, कुक्षी का पुत्र विकुक्षी, विकुक्षी का पुत्र बाण, बाण का पुत्र अनरण्य, अनरण्य का पुत्र इक्ष्वाकु. 12th generation. Rama is 40th generation. 39, 38, 39. So, Vishnu, Brahma, Marichi, Kashyapa, Vivasvane, Vaishvasvatamanu, Ichwaku, Kukshi, Vikukshi, Bana, Anaranya, Ichwaku. So, 16 generations or so before this Ichwaku came. So, Viswamithra was longing for the arrival of Rama for nearly 16, 17 generations after Ichwaku. So Ichwaku comes. He was a dharmika Raja. So, but human being, so he got tempted. So this is the beauty. Who was this Tirushanku? So he once saw, that's Kadachit. Sometime he was thinking, oh, I should go to Swarga. There's no harm in going to Swarga. But the problem was greed. What we said today's story was greed and piety. good and bad. Greed तो इतना उसका ऊपर चढ़ गया. I want to go with this human body. So वेद में है ज्योतिष्ठो में यजेते स्वर्ग काम यजता ज्योतिष्ठो में वसंते वसंते ज्योतिष्ठोम. एवरी वसंत ऋतु में ज्योतिष्ठोम क्रिया करो. एवरी वसंत में वाजपेयम करो तो यू विल गो इनटू स्वर्ग. और अश्वमेध को स्वर्ग फल मिलता है. क्या अश्वमेध देता? शतम पशवो भवन्ति शतायुः पुरुषः शतेन्द्रियः आयुष्येवेन्द्रिये प्रतितिष्ठति सर्वं वा अश्वमेध्याप्नोति. सर्वं वा अश्वमेध्याप्नोति. एवरीथिंग यू विल गेट विथ अश्वमेध. अपरिमिता भवन्ति अपरिमितस्यावरुद्ध्य. अवरुद्ध्यै अपरिमिता. So what it says, shatam pashavo bhavanti. Veda says do Ashwamedha. Veda says do Jyotishtoma. Then why did Tirushanku not do? Veda ko ullangan kiya. Greed say. Shatendriyaha ayushyevendriye pratitishtati sarvam va aswamedhasyapnoti. Sarvam va aswamedhasyapnoti. Aparimita bhavanti. You will get so many bounty. But he didn't want to do Ashwamedha. He just wanted to go with his mortal body. Wants. But it was not dharmic want. It is adharmic wants. It's like some countries trying to invade. How apt it is. This Tirushanku story is apt. It was apt in 1940s when Bharat ne, we let some foreigners go with dharmic fight. Babuji ne ladaya. So like that, then we wanted our land, that is dharmic. But why should you go and get somebody's land? Because Tirushanku wanted to capture the logo of Indra. Even today some countries are doing it. You see this, how Ramayana is at. That is story. Until otherwise we talk about Tirushanku's story, this Tatparya will not come. So what did he do? He wanted to go to capture the Swarga of Indra, but with his own body. With flesh and blood and everything, which is not recommended in Dharma. Look how Longfellow, in 1850s, imagine sir, in 1850s, 200 years back, Longfellow captured this story, beautiful. Viswamithra the magician, by his spells and incantations, wo to shap diya, incantation, up to Indra's realm Elysian, raised Tirushanku, king of, already he was the Surya Kula, that's why he read the Pravara. Vishnu, he is the progeny of Vishnu. Sarvam vai Vishnu, Yajno vai Vishnu, Vishnu, Brahma, Marichi, Kashyapa, Vivaswanu, Vaivasvata Manu, Ikshvaku, Kukshi, Vikukshi, Bana, Anaranya, Ikshvaku. Look how much that progeny, he was king of nations, come on. Viswamithra the magician, that is what he did. He was not a rishi. Longfellow does not say Viswamithra as a sage. He says he's a magician because he didn't conquer. He supported a dharmic thing. Viswamithra the magician, by his spells and incantations up to Indra's realms Elysian, raised Tirushanku, king of nation. Right? Then he says Indra and the gods offended because you go and capture somebody's land. Hurled him down, pushed him, hurled him down. And descending in the air he hung suspended. That's what happens. If you are not doing the dharma and you want to do adharma, you will be caught in the middle. Life will be miserable. In the air he hung suspended with these equal powers contending. Thus we all get irked and jerked by aspiration. Thus by aspirations lifted by misgivings. Our aspirations are lifted by misgivings. Then what happens? Longfellow says, by misgivings downward driven, human hearts are tossed and drifted midway between earth and heaven, good and bad. We are always tossed between good and bad, wants and benevolence, greed and piety. So, thus by aspirations lifted, by misgivings downward driven, human hearts are tossed and drifted midway between earth and heaven. So, hey people, watch the story of Ramayana, watch the story of Tirushanku in Ramayana, capture yourself, be aware. Uttishta Jagrata Varan Prapya Nibodha. Who else can say the story of Tirushanku than Longfellow? And that is what he captures. What he says, then he writes, hey people, listen to Rama. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing, leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. That's what Rama did. That is why we are studying Ramayana. How would one know that a guy 200 years back living here in New England could talk about Ramayana? Exactly, he captured the story in his own poetic expression way. And he aptly puts Viswamithra not as a sage, because he was just a magician. He was doing gimmick to send Tirushanku in an unwanted land. So that is what. So he just pushed him. So he said, I will do it. So what happened? This Tirushanku first goes to Vasishtha. So Vasishtha said, no chance. No chance. Ashakyamiti chapyukto vasishtena maha. Ashakyam, no chance, nothing doing. Ashakyamiti chayukto vasishtena mahatmana. Pratyakyato vasishtena. Pratyakyata means not considered as a person. Akyata, somebody who has name. Pratyakyata becomes Pratyakyata. That means Vasishtha and his children refused. They didn't even consider Tirushanku to be a man, because he is doing things which is not to be done. So, Pratyakyato vasishtena sa yayau dakshinam disham. So he was let go by Vasishtha. No, we will not do this. You better go and rule the land. But then his greed, well, he was also convinced that he has to chase the goal. But the goal was wrong. So the goalpost kept on changing. Whereas when we look for goal towards reaching Lord, the goal comes close to us. He comes. Nannu palimpa natachi ottichi o. O Raghava, you have come to. So Lord comes to us. Right? Whereas this goalpost was going away. Then he says, okay, I know only one guy who can do. That guy was in Dakshinastan. Because in Dakshinastan, 1000 years, Viswamithra did penance, and he was christened as Raja Rishi. So he went to him. This is playing the politic game. Because they know Vasishtha and Viswamithra have some enmity, Vairam, so he goes to them. Even though for generations, 16 generations so far, Vasishtha has been the Kula Guru, preceptor. Look, loyalty. He just threw away the loyalty also. So many life stories. So then he says, oh, you are my refuge. Valmiki puts it beautifully. Sharanam vaf prapadyayam sharanyane sharana. You are my refuge, Kaushika. Sharanam vaf prapadyayam sharanyane sharanagata pratyakyatosmi. They let me go. Pratyakyatosmi. So they made me no one. They made me without any name. Because they didn't think that I am the king, so they are not helping me. So Valmiki uses figuratively. Pratyakyatosmi, but be mangal to you. May you be good. Bhadram vo vasishtena mahatmana. Bhadram vo, you let mangal be to you. Please help me, because I have taken Sharanagati, refuge under you. He twists the dharma. So he says that if somebody takes refuge in you, you should help. So he uses that dharma, but crooked mind, durbuddhi. Sirasa pranato yache brahmanane tapasistitane te mam bhavantaha siddhyartam yajayatum samaita. So I will make your dream come true using yajna. So what did he do? He said, because this Ikshvakunam hi sarvesham puroda paramagatihi tasmad anantaram sarve bhavanto daivatam mama. I will make you another Indra. So then he asks his Sishyas. Viswamithra had 100 sons. He lost 199 sons. Okay, when he was fighting with Shabala, he lost 99 sons. One son was ruling. He came to do penance with his wife. While he was doing penance, he got many kids again. So then he sends his Sishyas and sons everywhere, entire Bharat Desh mein. He sends and asks them to fetch all the rishis to do the yajna. Then Vasishtha's son says, no, my father has said that this is not legal, this is not correct, so we will not do. So you will lose your valor. Valmiki uses a different word, but I am saying that the inner meaning of that sloka is Tirushanku will lose his capacity to rule the kingdom. So he became no one. Ikshvakunam hi sarvesham puroda paramagati na atikramitum shakyam vachanam satyavad. We cannot go over the word what our father has said. So there is nothing doing. My father refused, we will refuse. So we cannot send you to heaven. Then he lost his valor. He became crippled. Valmiki details that. Neela vastradharo neela purushodhvastamurjada. Then chityamalyanu lepascha, chityamana lepascha. That means ashes, bhasma. From the burial ground, he started, because he lost his sense. He was dreaming to be another Indra. He could not, so maybe psychosis kicked him. Whatever happened. So he just started doing all the things like people under psychotic spell. So Chityamalyanu pascha ayasam abarano bhavat. Then he started wearing all the bones and things, and he was wandering. That is how he came to meet Viswamithra, and Viswamithra got pity over him. Karunyasya mahateja vakyam paramadharmika. Until then Viswamithra was dharmika. But then he saw this man, and already he had enemies. So 1 + 1 became 2. Idam jagada badram te rajanam gora darshanam. What happened to you? Rajanam gora darshanam. What happened to you? Pratyakyatosmi guruna guruputrais tataivacha anavapyaivatam kamam. I was not able to fulfill my dream. Anavapyaivatam kamam maya prapto viparyaya. Then he says, there again Tirushanku says, look, I am distressed, but I am a Kshatriya belonging to Surya Kula, so I am only going to tell you truth. Even this is the same thing, because we know that is the way of life of Surya Kula. We know that. So what did he say? Shariro dhivam yayamiti me saumyada. Shariro dhivam yayamiti. Then she asked, what happened to you? Tell me the truth. Then Tirushanku says, I am only going to tell you truth. I wanted to go with my own body, this mortal body. Shariro dhivam yayam iti me saumya dharshana. Valmiki gives a trick. Because this Tirushanku was full of bones and bhasma and neelavastra, whereas Viswamithra was all glowing like gold, because he was a Raja Rishi. This guy was a pauper. That Valmiki brings it. That is Kaviprasam. Shariro dhivam yayamiti me saumya darshana. Tirushanku addresses Vishwa like Jitubai now. Look at him. So like that, saumya darshana. So maya cheshtam kratushatam tascha na avapyeti palam. I have done so many yajnas. Shatakratu, like Indra, but all these did not give any pala. Anritam nokta purvam menacha vakshe kadachana. This is important. He says, I am telling the truth. Anritam na ukta purvam menacha vakshe kadachana krishreshvapi gataha saumya. Even by telling truth, if it brings me down, I am going to tell, but I have to fulfill my dream. Krishreshvapi gata saumya kshatra dharmenate shape. Even you curse me, I am telling the truth. I was dejected and thrown away by my guru, my guru putra, because I wanted to go to the heaven with my body. That is greed beyond comprehension. Right? So this is what happens. Then Viswamithra shows, don't worry. Take it granted. That because Viswamithra became Rajarishi, so that ahankara. So Tirushanku's story is all about ahankara, mamakara. He know how tough it is to send a man. We all know how tough it is to send a man to moon. Earth, Mars takes long time. Right? Still many nations are fighting to send people to yonder. But Viswamithra knows that. But then he says, now take it from me that you got heaven. Hasta praptam aham manye swargam tava naveswara. This is ahankara. He has to perform so many yagyas. Other rishis have to agree. Vasisha should not give any hindrance. Devas should not give any hindrance. But he says, Asta praptam aham manye. Think, manye, you take it for granted. Asta praptam. It is in your hand. Hasta praptam aham manye swargam tava nareswara yastvam kaushikamagamya sharanyam. As you have come to Kaushika, watch, he doesn't talk about himself as a Viswamithra. He only names himself as Kaushika. Since you have come to Kaushika, who is a Rajarishi, take it from me that it is granted that you will be in the heaven. This is greed. Did it happen? No. It did not happen. So then what he says? Then he says, what happened? All the rishis have started coming. There again a Raj Dharma's Shastra. The rishis, because of fear of Viswamithra, did not go with the righteousness. This also happens. Even as we speak, 2 years back, something happened in a big country. People knew that that was wrong, going against the law of the land, but many leaders supported it, and we are paying the price for it. Same thing, the rishis, who are all invited, did not stand up for dharma, did not stand up for truth. They say, if we go against Viswamithra, if we go against Kaushika, we will be subject to his anger. So better flow with the crowd. So this is what we see even today. They didn't stand up for righteousness. Valmiki brings that one. That's what I say. Ramayana is art of living. Several yugas after we are facing the situation, Valmiki would have thought about it, I guess. So he says, the only thing is there were 100 sons of Vasishta, and there was another rishi called Mahodaya. They both, that group and Mahodaya did not agree. So Viswamithra got angry. He cursed them, so he didn't capture anger. So he's going to pay the penalty for it. So Viswamithra curses them. Swamamsa niyatahara mushtika nama nirgranaha. You all will become people eating dog mamsa. Swamamsa niyatahara mushtika nama nirgranaha vikritascha virupascha lokan anucharant vivan. You will wander around the world eating dog mamsa, dog meat. And then you will lose your beautiful vrittikascha virupa. You will take virupa swarupa. From swarupa you will become virupa. So he exposed his anger by giving sharp. Once he gave the sharp, that 1,000 years of penance he got by doing penance in the southern direction, gone. But Devas, then he said, okay, let it go. But whatever is left, I'm going to create a new lok, Trishanku Swarga lok, for this guy Trishanku. Right. So what? Pashyame tapaso viryam swarjitasya nareshwara yeshatvam swasharirena nayami swargamojasa. Don't think that it was gifted. It is not pitrarjitam. I have earned. So that shows the confidence. Even though Viswamithra was doing things against prescribed rights, he did it with the powers he earned himself. Valmiki says, Pashyame tapaso viryam swarjitasya swarjitam. That means by my own effort. My father didn't give me this thing. Swarjitasya nareshwara yeshatvam swasharirena nayami swargamojasa. Dushprapam swasharirena divam gaccha naradipa. I know it is not easy, so you go. Then Devas did not come to take the oblation. Sangachatvam samvadatvam sambo manam sijanatam deva bhagam yata purve sanyanana upasate. Rigved ends with this varga. Sangachatvam samvadatvam samvo manam sijanatam deva bhagam yata purve. Devas have to come to receive their share for any yajna purti. That means you have to work in unison. Sangachatvam samvadatvam samvo manamsi ye janatam ye janapad log. Work in unity because your effort should be blessed by devas. They have to come in unison to take your oblation. This is what Trishanku story. They didn't come. Devas didn't come. So what happened? Tatakkalena mahata Viswamitro mahatapa chakara ahvaganam tartva bhagartam sarvadevata. He was calling ahvaganam. Chakara ahvaganam tatra bhagartam sarvadevata. They didn't come. They refused. But then Viswamitra was not giving up. Same thing happening today. One country fighting with other country. One country is big, another country is small, but many countries are supporting the other country. Then what happens? You have to come to negotiation. So Devas eventually did some negotiation with Viswamitra. We cannot take him, but we are okay as long as you create a world in southern direction. He created a southern direction with a celestial group of Saptarishi. Can you believe? And then the heavenly bodies were all circulating on par with Swarga. But only one difference. Tirushanku cannot be always straight. He will always hang down. That is the problem. Because he is doing adharma. So Valmiki and the Katha stipulates that while Devatas are all upward with head up and feet down, Tirushanku is always hanging with leg up and head down, because it is adharma. Valmiki says that even though you think you have captured the world, your world will not be natural, it will be unnatural. So, Swarjitam kinchidapi asti mayahi tapasa phalam rajanne tvam tejasa tasya shariro divam. Even if something is, because things have gone wrong, so he got anger, so he lost a tapas, whatever is left, you will go to heaven. But I am creating a separate heaven where you will hang upside down. So I am Raja Mahabhaga Gurushapa Parikshata Shariro Divam Yatum Narhatyeva Tapodana. So because he said Narhatyeva Tapodana, he lost all his 1,000 years of penance he did in southern direction. Tesham tadvachanam sritva devanam munipungava abravit subahadvakyam kaushika sarvadevata swargo astu sharirasya trishankosya shashvata. Let you create a separate swarga. Let it be called Trishanku Swarga. Nakshatrani cha sarvani mamakani druvanyata. Let the nakshatra, let the celestial body be there as long as that Swarga is there. Yavan loka darishyanti tishtantyetani sarvashah yat kritani suras sarve tadanujnatum arhata. That also it was only possible because the Devas compromised. Yat kritani suras sarve tad anujnatum arhata. This much what in two sargas we are seeing even today. When wars happen, it's greed. You go capture somebody's thing which don't belong to you. So 1,000 years he did penance. Trishanku story told in Ramayana tells that you have to capture your me and I. If you don't capture your me and I, all the efforts you have done will go waste. So 1,000 years of penance gone waste. So he goes to west. Then he says, okay, forget this southern direction. Immediately he says, I am going to the western direction. So he says, I am going to go to western direction, and he started doing penance. In the meantime, there was another king called Ambarisha. This Ambarisha is different from the Ambarisha in Bhagavata. This is a different Ambarisha. So Ambarisha was a king in Ichwaku dynasty. He wanted to have a progeny. So he prayed to Lord Varuna, and then he said, if I get a son, I will bequeath to him. I will offer it to him. But there again greed kicks in. And then he did not give his son to Varuna Devata. So Varuna got angry. So to avoid that anger, all rishis said, you do a yajna. There is a difference here. There are different versions of this story. Valmiki Ramayana says he did yajna with yajna pashu. Basically, it's aswa. It is a goat, white goat. Swetaja. Or it can be a horse, but normally all these yajna, kama yajna are all swata aja alabate. So you have to use only white goat. Okay. So that pashu, Indra stole it away. So or some devata stole it away. Two stories will finish today. So this Ambarisha, to avoid giving his son to the devata, to avoid the kopa of deva, started doing a yaga. And that yaga pashu was lost. So he goes and then tells the entire world that whoever is going to... Then Rishi said, what should I do? The pashu is gone. Then he said, you can bring a young boy as a barter. There is again green. So he is not willing to give his son. He wants to protect his son. But he is going and begging people in the world, you give me your son, I'll give you so many cows, crores of cows. There again greed. He should not have done that. Then the story goes that he finds a rishi called Richika. There was a rishi. Prayena hi narashreshta jeshtaha pitrushu vallabhaha matrunam cha kaniyam saha tasmad rakshe kaniyam. Beautiful life story. So the story goes, it's story. Don't analyze too much why it was told. This is a story, but there is a life lesson there. So this king Ambarisha wants to get the life of his son, so he goes and begs for somebody who gives a son. And there he finds a rishi called Richika, who belongs to Bhrigu Vamsha, and his wife's name is Satyavati. And they have 3 sons. And the first son is, there are 3 sons, and Valmiki Ramayana only names the middle son. His name is Shunashepa. First he asks the first son. Father says, first son is my beloved, so I will not give him. There again Valmiki Ramayana says, parents are like that. Father gets attracted to first son, mother gets attracted to last son. Don't be like that. Hey Manush, don't be like that. Distribute your love to the end. That is important. That's what I said. Prayena hi narashreshta jeshtaha pitrushu vallabhaha. Then Richika says, I will not give my first son because pitrushu vallabha, jeshtaha pitrushu vallabha. Then this guy says, okay, I see a young boy there. Then Satyavati is the wife of Richika. Ma'am, you give me that son. Oh no, I won't give. Matrunam cha kaniyam saha tasmat rakshe kaniyam sam. For mother, it's the last son is so beloved. Don't tell this to kids. I have only one, so don't have this problem. But this is what is, how beautiful Ramayana is. Matrunam cha kaniyam sa tasmat rakshe. So I will only protect my last son. You take the first or middle, I don't care. Then the mushy middle is always the victim. The middle son is known as Shunashepa. Shunashepa's mama, like Jituba is mama for Lata. Shunashepa's mama was Viswamithra. So, Tasya Visramamanasya Shune Shunashepo Maha. He was bright guy. He wants to avoid complication. Oh Raja Ambarisha, I am prepared to give my life. Tasya Visramamanasya Shunashepo Mahayashaha Pushkaram Jetamagamya Viswamitram Dadarsha. So then I am going to come with you, let's go. Then they go, when they go towards west direction, Viswamitra has already migrated from Dakshina Bhaga because he lost his 1,000 years of penance. So he had come to western part, western hemisphere, keep it either way. And then he was starting to do penance. Then he saw his nephew, Shunashepa. Then he says, well, why should then? See, even though he agreed, Chanchala buddhi, chalana buddhi, manush ko chalana buddhi aata hai. Valmiki captures that. He agreed that you take me as a havanu, you take me as a ajyam, you take my muscle as a clarified butter for this yaga. Then when he sees Viswamitra, he says, why should I go? Let my mama protect me. Mama wahi kaam karta hai na, protect karta hai. Name asti mata na pita jnatayo bandhavaha kutaha. I don't have anybody. Name asti mata. Because my mata disowned me. My father disowned me. My friends disowned me. My bandhava disowned me. Tratum arhasi mam saumya dharmen. You have done some penance. He was thinking my mama has this many hotels. Likewise, this guy was thinking my mama has this much penance. So, you protect me. Tratum arhasi mam saumya dharmena munipunga. But this kid did not know Viswamitra lost his penance. Then he says, then Viswamitra again says, that is again one important thing. There again life lesson. What Viswamitra says, okay, I am prepared. Charity begins at home. Then he says, I am going to give up the entire thing of myself to protect my nephew. Right? So he says, he calls his 100 sons, hey, who is willing to give your life for the sake of Shunashepa? Then they curses their father. Beautiful. None of the 100 sons of Viswamitra volunteered. Again selfish. Katam Atma Sutan Hitva. Beautiful Sanskrit words of Valmiki. Katam Atma Sutan Hitva. Are you mad? Are you willing to sacrifice your own Atma Sutan Hitva? Trayase Anya Sutam Vibho. Hey knowledge person. I thought you are a knowledge man. Hey dad, I thought you are a knowledge person. No way. Vibho. Katam. How are you able to sacrifice your sons? Trayase, for rescuing Anya Sutam, for somebody. What a beautiful phrase. Katam Atma Sutan Hitva Trayase Anya Sutam Vibhu Akaryam Iva Pashya. This is not right. Akaryam Iva Pashya. We are seeing that this is not right. Where is Ram? Where is Viswamithra's son? Ram did not say anything. Chalo, patapat turant one mein chalo. He just walked away. That was Ram. Because Ram's Dharma runs, Ram's life runs on Dharma. Whereas these people, Akaryam iva pashyama swamamsam iva bhojane. You are using us like a dog's thing. Swamamsam iva bhojane. It's like you are feeding us with dog food. Right? Akaryam iva pashyama, we won't do. Then again Viswamithra, even though you are trying, he got anger. This is the problem. See, every step, these two stories were told. First story of Tirushanku was told that Viswamithra was not able to conquer his eye and knee. Then Krodh. Krodh is very important. Kamaha, Krodha. Kama akarshit, manyur akarshit. In Shravana मास में यज्ञोपविधारण समय हम तो ये जप करता है. काम आकर्षित, मन्यु आकर्षित, कामो आकर्षित, मन्यु आकर्षित, न काम न I didn't do. Kamang karta, न karta, kamang karta, न karta. I am not doing bad thing. It is my kopa that is doing the bad thing, because Viswamithra was not able to control anger. Imagine. Since his sons did not accept or accede to his he said, you all will become wander in the world eating dog food. Shunash. So he curses and he again anger. These two stories, side stories, but they are telling that man has to conquer these four things. Then only his wheel of life will run. Ahankara, mamakara, kama, krodh. Only when he is doing his 5,000th year of penance, Viswamithra was able to control his kama and krodha. So then when Shunashepa goes away, Tirushanku's story, he is still in the western direction trying to complete his 1,000 years of penance. Then he does that one. Purne varsha pratama mein varsha sahasra khatam karke unhone dakshin bhag mein यज्ञता उसका तपस खत्म किया. उस तपस का शक्ति तो त्रिशंकु को स्वर्ग भेजने में खत्म हुआ. अभी while all the story of Shunashepa and Tirushanku was going on, he was in the verge of completing his second 1,000 penance in the western direction. Purne varsha sahasreshu tu vratasnatam mahamunim. He was doing the avabhrita snana. Abhyagachan sura sarve tapaha palachikirsha. Tapah palachikirsha. 1,000 years. He was trying to finish his penance and taking the snan, avabhrita snan. Brahma comes, but Brahma did not grant him as Brahma Rishi. He grants him as Raja Rishi. So far he is only Gadisuta, he is Kaushika, then he becomes Brahma Rishi. Tataha kalena mahata menaka paramapsara. So he was granted 2,000 years of penance he did. He thought he will be Brahma Rishi. No, Brahma only says you are Raja Rishi. Then he was thinking, what should I do? But he is still sitting in western direction. Then came Menaka. Tatah kale namahata menaka parama apsara pushkareshu narasreshta snatum samupachakrameshiya. She came to take bath. That's the problem. Tam dadarsha mahatejasi. So far, Ahankara Mamakara story we did. Krodha we did. Where Ahankara Mamakara? Tirushanku story mein. Where is Krodh? Shunashepa ka story mein Viswamitra ne Krodh आकर क्रोध से उसका सभी 7 पुत्रों को शाप दिया. Then Kama is left. That's why the story of Menaka comes. 1,000 years of penance he did in western direction. He lost it for just 10 years of stay with Menaka. Tam dadarsha mahateja menakam kushikatmaja rupena pratimam tatra vidyutam jaladeyata. Lightning, he got tempted. Then he got so much, his head was full of love and angst. Drishtva kandarpa vashago munistam idam abravit. Oh, he didn't know what to do. He was not able to control his senses. Drishtva Gandharpa Vashago. He was Gandharpa means this Kama ka Lord, right? So Drishtva Gandharpa Vashago Munistam Idam Abravit. Apsaraha Swagatam Testu Vasacheha. Mama's beautiful place. Apsara, Apsara, don't go. Whereas what Vasishta, what a contrast. Vasishta didn't care. He was caring for the Ehi Shabale Chipram. He was just asking the cow, come. You know, if you just give the pat for cow on the hanging thing, that is because that's where cow gets irritated. Because people bind the cow with the ring. So that is equal to Ashwamedha Pala. So how long one has to recite Bhagavad? How long one has to, how can one people do Aswamedha? In Kali Yuga mein, there are 2 to 3 simple ways. 1, Go Dohana Kal, Go Duhina Kal, 6 minutes. A cow will milk only for 6 minutes. You test it. I have tested even now, I have calf in my village, in my house. 6 minutes only a cow will milk. Then it will hold the milk for its vatsa. So if you recite Krishna Nam 6 minutes, that is equal to Ashwamedha Phala. Go Dohana Kala. Bhagavad mein aata hai. So Sukha Brahma, he will not stay in one place beyond Go Dohana Kala. Go Duhina Kala. He will not stay in one place because he was a Digambara, Urdhvara Retas. He will not stay in one place beyond 6 minutes. But he stayed in Ganga Tir to recite the story of Bhagavad. Because Krishna Katha. So you have to recite Krishna Katha for 6 minutes. You have to pet the calf and cow for 6 minutes. And you have to recite any Shastra Grantha for 6 minutes. Count this. Purusha Sukta, only 6 minute recitation. Purva Bhag, Uttara Bhag, just 6 minutes. You will finish. Similarly, what happens? So, this guy, Vasishta, pats the cow and calf for 6 minutes. Whereas what this guy does, Apsara Swagatam Testu Vasacheha Mama Vasa. You recite. Anugrahish. We have to pay for the kataksha of Lord. Lord ka anugrah to mangna chahiye. Whereas Viswamithra kya mangta hai? Anugrahishva badramte madanena sumohitam. You with your love and your smile make me happy. Anugrahishva badramte madanena sumohitam atakale gate tasmin Viswamitro mahamuni suvrida eva samvrittas chittan shokaparayana buddhirmune samutpanna samarsha raghunandar. 10 years like this it went. But it was Lord's wish that after 10 years he realized his mistake. Oh, I did something wrong. So now I have lost everything. I have lost my penance due to doing misdeeds on behalf of Tirushanku. I got into anger because of Shunashepa incident. Now because of this karma, my second 1,000 years of penance is also gone. What should I do? Then God gives him mind and he goes to northern direction. Only now he goes to Himalayas. With that we will stop today. So this is very important katha. So we'll continue with that. So next 1,000 years in northern hemisphere in Himalayas on the bank of Kaushiki Nadi. Kaushiki Nadi is nothing but his sister. Then he goes and does 2,000 years penance in Himalayas in the eastern direction. There he becomes Brahmarishi. With that Valmiki finishes. But we have not come to that thing yet. We are in 63, 64 sarga. 2 more sargas to go. Then 2 more incidents in Balaganda. Mahapunya incident is Sita Mata Vivag. So she is waiting. While this is all going on, Janaka and Sadananda have already come and they are coming to invite Viswamithra and Rama Lakshmana. That's when Sadananda tells all the story. There in Mithila Desh, माँ जानकी तो तपस करती है. कैसा? कुसुमाकर ऋतु में, कुसुमाकर वसंत ऋतु में, माघ मास में, ब्यूटीफुल, माघ मास में चमेली जैसा. ये वर्णन है, सीता माता का वर्णन है, वर्ण भवान है. सो इन स्प्रिंग टाइम, माघ मास में, इन द माघ मंथ, तो शी इज डूइंग पेनेंस बिकॉज माँ और विष्णु और महालक्ष्मी का विवाह तो फाल्गुन मास में, फाल्गुन मास में शुक्ल पक्ष में उत्तर नक्षत्र में आता है. सो माघ मास में माँ सीता तो प्रत्यक्ष करता है. शी इज एक्सपेक्टिंग, प्रतीक्षा करता है, प्रत्यक्ष होने के लिए प्रतीक्षा करता है. और वो कैसी है? माघ मास में मल्लीपूल मालगा, एक मूवी सॉन्ग भी है. वी डोंट वांट टू गो देयर. सो शी इज लाइक a chameli, she is like a jasmine flower, white and soft, waiting for the arrival of Rama. They will be going next few sargas. Then the talk about the bow, the dismantling of the bow, and then stringing of the bow will happen. So 2 more incidents and Balakanta finishes. Balakanta is Yajna Kanta. Next major episode will be the Vivaha of Sita Ma, and then the next one will be the Parshuram ka Garva Bhang. Uske after the Balakanda ends. So why is this Vivah happen? So Loka Rakshana Hetuna. This is for the benefit of the world. Rama and Lord Rama and Goddess Sita are going to be wedded. Loka Rakshanartham. So Trilokyam Mangalam Kuru. Mangalyam Tantuna Nena Loka Rakshana Hetuna. Kante Bhadne Kante Arpayami Shubhake. We offer the Mangal Sutra to Mata. Kante Arpayami Shubhake. Trilokyam Mangalam Kuru. We ask for the well-being of the world. That is why Sita marries Lord Ramachandra. Pavamana Sududu Pattu Padara Vindamulaku Sri Rani Nama Rupamulaku Nitya Jaya Mangalam. Mangalam Gosalendraya Maganiya Gunabdaye Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam Subham.